Hey, what's up guys? It's CovertCode here, and in today's video we're gonna be resuming the Zero to Hero series. Welcome to episode 4 of the Zero to Hero series. This video is going to be about properties. Now, last time we pretty much, covered variables and how to use them. You can use mathematical operations on the variables, and we also printed out the, the results, I guess you could say. I'll have the link to the previous video in the description below if you haven't watched that already. So let's just clear up the script and let's talk about properties. So everything in your game has properties, okay? It's like, imagine you have a car, okay? And you're going to go buy that car from a dealership. And whenever you go to the car, you have a list of specifications on the car. You know how much its top speed is, how much it costs, all the extra features it has. That's pretty much the properties of the car. So if the car is red, then that is a property of the car because it's describing the car. And the same goes for everything inside of your game. So let me just prove this to you. If you go to the workspace here, and if you can't see this, go to episode 1, but let me just save you some time here and just click on this Explorer button right there. So click on the base plate, which you should have in your game. It won't look like this because this is a custom base plate. It should look, darker gray, I think, something like that. So yeah, so click on the base plate, and if you can't see properties, again, you should probably enable that in episode 1. So these are the properties. This is a list of properties describing the base plate, okay? Now, you might see a lot of numbers, a lot of text, a lot of different things that you haven't seen before, and that might confuse you, and that's okay. It happened to me too when I was learning. However, you should not let that discourage you from learning. So, as I said, list of properties, things which describe the base plate, okay? So if you click on these arrows right here, okay, you can see that all of the properties get grouped up into smaller groups. So this is the properties of the base plate, okay? And these here are the different categories of properties. So here, the properties inside of appearance obviously describe the appearance of the part, the base plate. So let me show you. If we open this, you can see that the brick color here, that's pretty much the brick color sort of color value. Now, there are two types of color values on Roblox. I'm not expecting you to know this by now, but I'm just telling you. There are the color 3 values, which you might have seen me use in my previous tutorials, or the brick color here. So this is a sort of limited set of colors that you can use for your parts. It's pretty handy to use if you're a beginner, so I'd suggest using this at the start and then shifting your way to using color at the end. However, color offers a much, wider range of variety or options, you could say. It offers you all of these colors which you can, use to color your parts, okay? Now, as I said, these are just things which describe the part. So this is just telling you the color 3 value, okay, of the part, of the base plate. This is telling you the material is plastic. If you want to change that, you would simply click on that and make it any material you want, okay? So if you want marble, you just made marble like that, okay? Let me undo that, Control Z. So this also allows you to edit the reflectance, okay? So if you just click on the part right here and, click on the reflectance, that's the value from 0 to 1. So if you just drag this, it will reflect more as it gets more to the right and reflect less as it gets more to the left. Now, we just simply don't have time to go through all the properties available for every single part. But if you click on, anything like script, it will show you the properties of a script. It will show you if it's disabled or not, like if it's running. It will show you the name of the script. If you click on any other object, you can see a huge variety of properties. I would just suggest that after the video, just simply go through, random things like lighting, terrain, camera, stuff like that, and make your own things and just look at the properties, see what they do and how you can use them in your favor. Just play around with the properties and you'll get more familiar with how Roblox works in general. Now, the fun thing about properties is you can actually use them to, modify your surroundings with a script. So if I want this part, this base plate, okay, I'm referring to this as a part because it actually is a part. So one of the properties is class name, okay? So the class name is the type of object that the thing is. And in this case, it's a part, so that's why I'm referring to it as a part. So let's show you guys how you can actually use properties during runtime, as in using scripts. So go back to the script we made in the previous episode, make sure everything's cleared up, and let's actually get scripting, okay? So let me define a variable. So we're building on top of the previous lessons. If you haven't watched those, I would suggest watching those before watching this one. So let's actually define a variable. So base plate is equal to now remember how I said that variables can actually contain different types of data? We covered numbers, which are also called integers, by the way, decimals, string, and booleans, okay? But they can also contain object reference, okay? Now, object references simply mean that the variable is pointing to an object. So if I wanted to contain base plate, I could do that. So let me teach you guys how you can actually do that, okay? So the first thing is you need to know that everything here, all of these are called services. I said that in episode 1. So all of these services, okay, are inside the game. And the way you'd access the game is simply by saying game, okay? See how that's a keyword and it's blue? That's how you access the game. Now, inside of the game, there are all of these services. So if I want to access workspace, I would simply use a dot. Okay, so I'm telling the script that I want to access something inside of the game by using that dot. So then make sure that you actually write word for word, okay? So if workspace has a capital W, make sure that you actually, write it with a capital W, or else, that's gonna cause some problems. But game.workspace, like this, see how it's suggested workspace? I just click on that, autocomplete, done. So now, workspace is actually stored inside of the baseplate variable, but that's not what I'm trying to point to. I'm trying to actually reference this baseplate right here. And again, same thing. If I want to tell the script that I'm trying to access something inside of workspace, I would simply use a dot so that the script recognizes that, hey, you're trying to access something inside of this, okay? And again, word for word, baseplate, okay? So this is the game. This entire tab is the game, okay? And I'm using dot to access something in the game. So I'm now in workspace, okay? And another dot, I'm telling the script to access something in workspace. In this case, it's baseplate. So I'm accessing this now, I'm here. Now, baseplate is now like the variable baseplate. Let me just call this something differently. So baseplate variable, okay? So the baseplate variable is now pointing, or it's storing the baseplate object, okay? So this thing here is now inside of this. So whenever I print out baseplate.name, for example, actually, if I just do this, I think that should, it shouldn't cause any problems. So let's see. So yeah, it just automatically prints out baseplate. Why? Because you're storing baseplate inside of it, okay? Now, here's the fun part, okay? If I want to change anything in here, this pointer will remain the same, okay? So if I make this, red or something, this will still point to the same baseplate, but now it's red. And instead of manually having to do this, so, because you won't be there when players are playing, you won't just be there manually changing the colors like this. You want that to be able to be accomplished essentially using scripts. So the way you would do this is same thing as we did right here, okay? So I want to modify the color property. Let's use brick color for this case, okay? So I want to modify the brick color property. How would I do this? Pretty easy. So baseplate variable, remember it's pointing at baseplate, okay? So we don't have to write game.workspace.baseplate. You could do this, okay? So this is the same as this, okay? Because it's like equal to each other, okay? So if I want to change the property, I want to tell the script that I want to access something inside of the baseplate. So dot, and Now something's different here, guys. It's telling you to, like, it's suggesting different variable types, okay? Can collide, as you can see right here, guys. Can collide, cast shadow, it's somewhere over here. Just take my word for that. You know, all of these are properties. Why? Because I'm trying to access something inside of an object, okay? If you had something like this texture here, you know, you could do dot texture, because that is inside of the base plate. And that's not what I'm trying to do, though. I'm trying to actually change the property. And the way you would do this is you'd use dot. Again, you're trying to access something inside of the base plate. However, instead of typing the name of a child, which is, you know, this is the child of this, and this is the parent of this, okay? That's just how the relationship works. This is inside of this, and this has this as a child, pretty much. Anyway, if you want to access a property here, you type the property name. So if I want to change the brick color here, so dot brick color, see how that also suggested the property name? Because we're trying to modify a property now. So dot brick color, okay? Now we have accessed a property, okay? And if you've actually accessed, you've reached the point where you can actually modify the property, which what I mean by that is if you've got the property indexed here, you know, you're referring to the property, you can just simply write an equals. So an equals means that you're setting it to something. Same thing as a variable, guys. You're setting the variable here to this, okay? So I'm just going to set the brick color to something I want. So if I want it to be bright red like this, let me just put it back there. Okay, so if I want to set it to bright red, I would do this: brick color.new bright red. Okay, now that might have been a slap to the face to some of you, because hey, why couldn't I just do this? You know, that's because you're trying to modify brick color, and brick color follows a very specific format. Okay, so remember how I said there are two types of color things on Roblox? There's brick color and color, okay? Now, if you're trying to modify the name, so baseplate variable.name, okay, that has a string or a text type. So I could just do this like any other variable, guys. So if I want to name it to something like CovertCode, okay, that would work because this is a text variable type, a string variable types. Text and string mean the same thing, okay, from now on. Only difference is this is a string data type and this is a brick color data type. And remember how you had to use quotation marks for you know, strings for text? That's the rule for using strings and texts on Roblox, okay? Same applies for brick colors. Now you can't just do this. They have a rule, okay? You have to use brick color.new. Okay, so you're telling the game that you're trying to, you know, reference a brick color. So you just say brick color, and you're creating a new brick color, and you're giving it the name inside of here. Okay, that's just the way that you know, brick colors work. You have to, you know, memorize that. You can't really go around that. Perhaps size is a bit easier for you guys. So let me just prove to you guys that this works. So we're gonna run. That's how you make the scripts work, by the way. And now, as you can see, it's red. Okay, it's red. Now, if I stop, it's not red anymore. If I run, it's gonna be red. Okay. Now, if I want to change the you know, the size of the base plate, how would I do this? Same thing. I go to the base plate variable that we defined. Okay, we use the dot, access a property. Okay, and we want to change the size in this case, so it's in here inside of part. So dot size. Okay, now we've actually got the property in hand, and we just want to set the property to something. That's why we use equals. So we're setting the size of the base plate to something here. Okay, now again, size follows a specific format, guys. I'm not expecting you to know this by heart. I will provide a link in the description below, but basically the developer hub or the wiki on Roblox, you know, tells you everything you need to know about every single type of data type, I guess you could say. So if you're having trouble with modifying the size, you would go to the wiki and search up a part, for example, or something like that, and scroll down, and it'll show you the list of properties of that part, okay? And it'll tell you the actual data type of that property, okay? So just keep that in mind, that if you're ever stuck, if something doesn't work, the wiki is always available. That's how you learn, So again, specific formatting, guys. Instead of using brick color this time, the data type for size is vector3. So vector3, okay? So instead of brick color, it's vector3. Now, again, .new. So I'm asking it to create a new vector3 for us. Same thing, I'm asking it to create a new brick color for us, okay? This time, though, you're not going to give it a text inside of the parentheses. You're going to actually give it 3 numbers, okay? Like this here. Now, down here you may see 3 numbers, okay? No, not you may see, you will see 3 numbers, okay? For size. Now, that's the X, Y, and Z coordinates, okay? So, by coordinates, guys, I mean, let me bring something up on the screen now to help you visualize that. But, this is how much the size is on the x-axis. So let me show you this. So this here is the x-axis, okay? So I'm modifying the size on the x-axis. Notice how it's only changing on the x-axis, okay? Now, if I want to modify the size on the y-axis, this is the y-axis. So this is what happens when I increase and decrease the size on the y-axis. I'm only increasing the size up and down, essentially, okay? If I wanted the increase or decrease the size on the z-axis, this is how you do it, okay? Okay, so again, back to the script. Dot size equals vector3.new. We need to give it 3 numbers, and this is how you do it. You can't just do 512, 2512. You need to add commas, okay, behind every single number that you give it. Now, it's the same as this here. So if you go to the base plate and view the size property, there's 3 numbers with commas between the first and the second, numbers there, okay? So that's the format that you need to follow. Now, this might be a bit confusing and overwhelming to those who have never coded before. Just know that in coding, you need to really follow a specific format, okay? In this case, you've only seen 2 formats. We've already covered 4 types of formats in the variables video. The string, the boolean, the decimal, the other stuff. But now we're covering more. You need to know these, so just make sure to practice. Set different colors like bright blue, or bright bluish green or something like that. Just change up the formatting. Not the formatting. The formatting needs to stay the same. Okay, just change up, what you're doing. Essentially, that's what I'm trying to say. Just play around with the, the properties. Now, if I want to change something else, actually, let's make this 256, 256, okay? So I just halved that. So 512 on 2. So 512 divided by 2 is 256. Halve that, okay? And this is going to shrink in half. Look at that. Okay? See how that shrinked and the color changed to blue, bluish green. What did it say? Bright bluish green. So yeah, that's how you change the property. Now, final property that I'm going to teach you guys today is going to be, material. Now, base plate variable, that's the base plate. Dot material, same thing as all the rest, okay? We're going to set it to, I don't know, let's say, we could set it to pebble, why not? Now, there's 2 ways of doing this. This is the first way. You could set it to this, okay? Again, not really ideal. It'll work, don't worry about that. So if I just zoom in, you can see now that it's pebbles, okay? However, that's not ideal. Ideally, you would use enum.material.pebble. Now, if you're starting out, I do suggest using this, okay, instead of this. Use this instead of this, okay? However, as you're becoming more advanced, use enum.material.pebble, okay? It's just better practice, it's more specific, more concise, and it'll allow you to, you know, get a feel for enums. Now, you know, these will be used in the future of these tutorials, guys, and I would suggest getting familiar with them from now. So essentially, this is a strict type of, like, this is a data type, essentially, a strict data type. So you're just telling it that you want a strict data type for material, essentially, okay? And you're just telling it to be pebbles. That's pretty much what we're doing, guys. I like using this more. You could use either, but as I said, just use the one with the quotation marks at the start, and then use whatever you guys want. That's how you modify properties. This was a slightly longer video than the previous 3 tutorials, but I just needed more time with this. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video, and leave suggestions in the comments below about what tutorials I should make.